Have you ever wondered how the world was created or how we came to be here? Well, the ancient Egyptians were not so different from us in that they had that same thought. And so they had at least six stories of creation. Hi, I'm Aset here at the Goddess Inside, and today I want to share with you some of the stories of creation, give you a little bit of insight into one particular one today so that you can take this story and use it kind of as practical magic in your own life to create the things that you want. And if you look in the links that are associated here with the video, there will be a very special link for you to use and utilize some of these concepts in your own life to get the things that you want in life. So manifestation, creation, transformation, change, becoming, all of these things are part of the Egyptian mysteries. So what are these six stories of creation? Well, in no particular order, one of them is Thoth, the god Thoth, and he creates the world through his magical powers in his cauldron, and he creates the Ogdoad. So if you've ever been reading stories about Egypt and creation or come across the term of the Ogdoad, that is a story of creation about Thoth. We'll talk about that in a later video, but that's just one of them. Another story of creation is the creation of the Ennead by the god Atum. And so there are mounds of creation that he stands upon that come out of all of the waters. There's an element of self-procreation with Atum to create the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt that basically are what a lot of the religious practices and concepts center around. Another story of creation has to do with Ra and his tears becoming those beings that are humans. So that's how humans are created, by the tears of Ra. Another story of creation is the god Khnum and Heket, his consort or wife, and how Khnum creates bodies of humans and their Ka spirits on his potter's wheel out of clay. And a lot of times we'll see this depicted in the temple areas known as the Mameses. We'll see Khnum creating the pharaoh on his potter's wheel, and it's one of my favorite places to visit in Egypt is in the Mameses and to look at the walls there. Another story of creation has elements of vision and speaking things into existence, and that is the god Ptah. That's who we're going to focus on today. And another story of creation is the story of Neith, the goddess Neith, and she is the goddess of the loom and weaving and nets. And it is said that she wove a net and she dipped it deep down inside of herself and pulled out everything from her own body. Everything that we see in Egypt, the rivers, the mountains, the crocodiles, and the stones, the sand, everything came from the body of Neith. So let's circle back to Ptah real quickly. So Ptah is mentioned very early on in ancient Egyptian literature, even in the pyramid texts, which are the earliest writings of ancient Egypt, in the Pyramid of Unas and Pepi and Teti at Saqqara. And so if you are to visit those areas, you'll go inside the pyramid and you'll see beautiful hieroglyphs carved all over the walls. And here it is said that Ptah is one of the creator gods who creates all of the gods from his heart and his tongue. And within the element of creation with Ptah is that aspect of speaking and having these words of power and this concept of Heka or magic. So what I really love the most about Ptah, and I always point this out in the chapel of Ptah when we go there at Karnak on our tours, is there is a statue of Ptah in his chapel, but it has no head. It's just the body. And to me, it's sad that he doesn't have his head, but it's also very beautifully significant in how we can create in our lives. So in the stories within the pyramid text, it talks about Ptah creating everything from his heart. So when we look at his statue without the head, all we see is the body and the heart of Ptah. So when you create with Ptah, it's thinking about the things that your heart desires. What is it that you truly want to create in your life? And then how can you follow that desire? And how can you speak those things into existence? How can you talk about them? How can you say your own words of power to manifest and bring about all the things in your life? And I will say that when you begin to look at the power of your words, that's when a lot of the magic begins to happen, because there's a shift that happens inside of you. So when you project something out into the world, also it's kind of a way to play Marco Polo with the universe, where you have this call and response phenomenon that happens, and you call out into the world what it is that you want. And by the simple act of putting it, speaking it out into the world, you give it some type of a form so that it can begin to create itself from there. So creating your world, connecting with Ptah, using your words, using your heart's desire, being able to speak words of power to create what it is that you want, can be a very powerful way to incorporate some of the teachings of what I would call the Egyptian mysteries, where we take the concepts and we pull them into practical use, and then we can create our own magic in today's world and in your world. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and be sure to check on the links down below. There will be a way for you to sign up. If you go to my website, actually, at thegoddessinside.com, there's a form there, but also there's some place for you to sign up in the links below. If you'd like to explore more of the creation stories while you're in Egypt, then be sure to check out our upcoming tour in November of 2023. It's a very special, unique, off the beaten path tour, 11 nights on the Nile, and visiting a lot of these areas where we'll see Ptah. We'll visit his sacred area there at Saqqara in the Serapeum. We'll see his statue in his chapel at Karnak, and we'll also be able to visit some of the other centers of creation, such as Thoth, that we'll talk about a little bit later in another video, and explore a lot of the areas of the god Aten, the solar god Aten, and Akhenaten and Nefertiti, where they moved their capital. So it's a very exciting trip. And it's very wonderful to be in these locations of creation and to really begin to incorporate some of this Egyptian magic into your life and into creating the life that you want. So once again, I hope that this was helpful, that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, until next time, may you enjoy everything about today.